Welcome, brothers. Week 2. Thank you all for being here on time. It's great to see your faces. As usual, we'll give you a little bit of an agenda as to what we're doing, what we're going to go over. We got a pretty packed day. We got a lot of stuff to go over. So we're going to try and get through everything as succinctly as possible. I think almost every call we're going to start with breath work. So we're going to do a little bit of breath work right after this little agenda. Then we're going to do just a tiny little review of the workbook. Like, did you do it? If you have any like burning questions, we're not going to spend tons and tons of time on that, just a little bit. Then we're going to do a light masculine review. That's our theme this week. We're diving into the light masculine archetypes, right? So both integrated and unintegrated. We have the workbook for that will allow you to embody those states. We're going to go over that again today, so you have refresh your brain and your memory of what those archetypes are. And we're going to talk a little bit about shame and presence, because those are main themes within that archetype of the light masculine. Then we have a couple other things planned that I'll just tell you. We have a meditation, because that's really, really important with this archetype. We're going to do a few shares, ask you guys to do some shares in regards to your association to these archetypes. We're going to do some dyads, and then we'll round this off with a bit of Q&A, a bit of expectations for the workbook, and any questions. Sound good? Fantastic. Alrighty, let's do a couple rounds of conscious connected breathing. Usually I do 3, but we're going to do 2 so we can get everything in. Just as a reminder with, oh yes, I need to pin us. Thank you, Matt. One sec, let me pin us. We learn in here. You know, people say like, it's not our first rodeo. It's not, but it kind of is. Okay, there you go. Fantastic. Thank you so much, brother. So just a reminder with the conscious connected breathing, the intention here is that continuous loop of breath. It's really up to you how deep you want to go. If you breathe deeper, obviously you're going to go deeper. And the most important part is you're adding presence. So like, be in your integrated light masculine. Just watch your breath. The breath is changing over and over again. It's the feminine energy. So just watch it change, watch the physical sensations in your body change. You don't need to make anything happen except for that continuous loop of breath, and be present with yourself. Try to bring your breath down into your belly and then up into your chest like a wave. I'll guide you through the retentions. So inviting you all to just close down the eyes. Let's go a bit internal here. Play a little bit of music to guide this journey. So with your eyes closed, start to notice your natural pace of breathing. Don't try to make it happen in any sort of way, but do pay some attention to your lower abdomen. See if you can anchor that breath a little bit lower in your body, down into the root, down into the pelvis. Offering yourself a sensation of landing in this container together, as brothers, as men on a mission. Making a commitment to yourself to just stay present throughout the breath work. To just notice what arises for you with a sense of curiosity. It's a new day, it's a new practice. So with that in your hearts and your mind, I invite you to take a nice deep breath in through your mouth. Exhale, relax. Here we go together. Nice deep breath in and relax. Deep breath. Exhale. Nice deep breath in. Relax. Full breath. Exhale. Good. Just keep it going now. Finding your rhythm, finding your flow, allowing your inhales and exhales to connect in a rhythmic fashion, breathing however deep feels good for you. Taking this first round as an opportunity to feel into the depth of your breathing, feeling into your body, noticing what it feels like to breathe in this way. Beautiful. Keep breathing like that, giving your body attention, noticing that wave-like quality down to the belly, up into the chest, expansion into the ribs. moving the breath over and over, an infinite wheel of breath, a turning cycle of spirit over and over. Okay, about 30 more seconds here. If you'd like to make these next few breaths a bit deeper and bolder, this is your invitation. We're soon approaching a retention. Stay present with your breath and your body. Notice what's changing and what you're feeling, remaining in that state of presence. Beautiful. Inviting you all now to finish the breath you're on with a slow exhale. Just let it go. Then take another deep breath in all the way up. Exhale, let it go nice and slow. And hold your breath at the bottom. As you hold your breath, just relax, as we always do. And just remain present with these sensations that are in your body, this stillness, this peace that has come about you. Allowing yourself to get even more grounded in your body. Allowing the distractions of life, the responsibilities, the worries and concerns to slip away as you sink deeper. If you need to breathe anytime you can, let's just see if you can hold a little bit longer with me. Okay, we're going to breathe again in 3, 2, 1. Take a nice deep breath in all the way up. Hold and suspend that breath. Squeeze your pelvic floor, drawing that life force up, holding it. 3, 2, 1, big exhale, make a sound. Really nice. Round 1. Pause for a moment. Notice what you've cultivated, what's changing. Move into one more round. Maybe a bit more energy this round. It's your choice. So let's take one cleansing breath, nice deep breath in. Exhale, sigh. Here we go together. Nice deep breath in. Relax. Inhale. Let it go. Deep breath. Exhale. Full breath in. Relaxing out. Deep breath. Relax. You know what to do. Keep it going now. As you continue to turn your breath, this round is really just about opening yourself up more to the sensations. So just start to tune in. Notice how your nervous system is starting to change. Brainwave state starting to change. Physiology is starting to change. So the movement of spirit, the movement of breath. Changing your state of awareness. Open yourself up more and more to that experience. Really good work, brothers. Keep connecting those breaths. Fluid and smooth. By now, you should start to feel some momentum, like there's some energy behind the breath. Really nice. Okay, final 30 seconds here. If you'd like to make the breath a bit deeper and bolder, this is your invitation. Remaining present with your body, noticing what's changing and what you feel. Enjoying these last few breaths, making them count. Beautiful. I invite you to finish your next breath with a slow exhale. Just let it go. Nice deep breath in. Exhale, relax nice and slow. And then hold and suspend your breath at the bottom with your lungs gently empty. Relax your body as you hold your breath. I'm gonna hold a little bit longer this time. But of course, if you need to breathe at any time, you can. Keep holding, keep that presence. Keep finding a state of relaxation, seeing how much you can relax as you hold your breath. And as that urge to breathe starts to arise more and more, just see how present you can remain with it. It's a great example of life. How present can we be with the discomfort? How long can we hold presence in the face of change and discomfort? We remain poised, still. Beautiful. We're going to breathe again in 3, 2, 1. Take a nice, deep, full breath in all the way up. Hold that breath at the top, suspend it. If it feels right for you, pull up on your pelvic floor, squeeze your abs, your chest, your arms. Point your eyes at your third eye in between your eyebrows with your eyes closed. 3, 2, 1. Exhale, relax, let it go. Really nice. Keep your eyes closed. Let's take a moment here. We don't want to rush to the next thing. Just kind of tune in, see what's there for you, the gift of your practice, the gift of your breath. Once more, just bringing up that feeling, that archetype of presence. How present can you be on this call? How much of your attention can you offer to these men and yourself while you're in this container? Remembering that what you bring to this container is paramount. You each have something very important you need to offer, and your presence is the greatest asset that you have available to you, your attention, the direction of your consciousness. Really getting clear on how you want to direct that during this time together, in this moment right here and now. Beautiful. Let's share one more deep breath. So nice deep breath in. And a nice gentle exhale. Thank you, gentlemen. You guys are amazing. When you feel ready, you can gently open your eyes. I love leading you guys through breath work. I think next week we'll switch it up. We'll get Matt leading some breath work because, man, he's so good. It's unreal. So I'll take us off to the next section, and I'm going to pass it to Matt. Just a show of hands, who really did the homework? Who really did the stuff? Oh, yeah, baby. Yeah, that's pretty good. We don't have a J Bray here, but that's all good. That's pretty good. I'm stoked on that. I mean, you don't need to impress us, really. It's like, it's about you anyways. Oh, Brad, yeah. So we had a workbook, and basically the last call, we dove into actually, no, I'll tell you another time because we got so much going on. Basically, it was like diving deep into the archetypes, but we will catch you up to speed. We'll catch you up to speed for sure. Yeah, so that's great. We do want to keep you as accountable as possible, and like, not gonna lie, like, we have access to the workbooks. I haven't looked at them yet. I haven't checked out if you guys have done your stuff, but yeah, it's we'll check in on you, but remember, it's like it's you. You're only competing against yourself. Was there any burning questions, shares, or things that came up? We have room for maybe 2 max. Is there anything that was like, holy crap, that was mind-blowing for me? Or Luke? Yes.
Actually, this is just to the point you made just now. I'm going to do mine on paper. There's just something that works well with my brain by physically writing down my thoughts. So you probably won't see any of my homework on the cloud.
Thank you for that. I like that. I like there's something I've noticed in this container is the communication, I feel, is really dialed. Like, we're very transparent. Like, Rod today was just like, he owned it, right? Work came up, I couldn't do anything about it. I really like that. I like this level of transparency that we offer each other. So that's great, man. Do what works best for you. And yeah, thank you for letting us know. Oh, nice, Taylor. That's dope. Okay, thanks for letting me know in the chat there. Anyone else? Was there any sort of like aha moments or something you want to share when you went through the workbook this week? Was that a hand, Logan, or was that adjustment of hat? Oh, good.
Oh yeah, I'll say I thought it was really interesting when I did it. I had like the most dominant ones. Like one was like light masculine was really dominant for me, and then dark feminine. So I just thought it was interesting. I had one of the light and dark from each gender, and I was like, oh, that's cool.
That is cool. It's the same for me. So that's interesting. I think those two kind of like go hand in hand in some ways. And then I think Dylan, let's get Dylan in really quick because I saw you bring your hand up, and then we're gonna, yeah.
Hey, thank you, Ryan. I just I was kind of surprised at how, so I had been trying over the last few weeks, I've been trying to think of how the different archetypes had been showing up in my life. And just thinking about it, I never really felt much from it. But then going through the exercise of just writing it out, and I think that just helped me become a lot more aware of it. And then I found over the last day or two since filling it out, I've actually started to see like in real time, like, oh wow, like that was really dark or unintegrated or whatever, you know, like started to really notice the behaviors after just really taking the time to dive in it and write it out was really helpful for me.
Yes. Just really quickly on that, that's really amazing. Like this is archetypal languages are really, really powerful. I believe they're a way of the future. Yeah, I could chat about that in more sense, but because there's so much dense information in one image or one word, and now you starting to use it and see it in different places, this is huge. That's really, really what we want from that, because then we can all speak that language, then we can all keep each other accountable. We can all use the framework. So awesome. Ooh, I think that you guys are hearing my sound here. Really good check-ins, guys. Thank you so much. I'm going to pass it off to Matt, or unless you want to add anything to this, Matt, do feel free to do so. But I'm going to pass it off to Matt. We're going to dive into the light masculine again here.
Thank you very much. Nothing to add. Just if you guys haven't caught the recordings, the first two recording in the session we did last time, Logan, you'll see a really interesting play between the light masculine and the dark feminine archetypes. They do go hand in hand, just like the dark masculine and the light feminine. So if you haven't caught that recording, it'll be fun for you to catch once you've because you've made this correlation. Yeah, awesome. We have a really great one for you guys today. I'm really excited about this. And we're going to be leaning into the light masculine. And I know that, I don't know, can you see in the chat? You guys can all see I dropped our integrated light masculine picture in there. That symbolism came through quite a lot last week. It seemed to be one of the more, like one of the things that really stood out. And so what I'm just going to do quickly is I'm just going to anchor us in these archetypes. And then what we're going to do today is I'm going to do a proper introduction and go a little bit deeper into these archetypes. And what Brian and I are going to do is we're going to share our experience with these archetypes. As Brian's primary default is in the light masculine and mine is in the dark masculine. And so we've had very different experiences with how these unintegrated and integrated archetypes show up. And our experience with them has been very polar and very complementary. So reminder that the integrated light masculine we refer to as the good king, and this picture really does like a perfect job. I think I can't remember who it was last week, but they just had such a great full picture, full explanation of this picture where he's sitting there and the water's hitting him, but then it's turning into this pond and there's all this life that's coming from it, the flower and the fish and all these types of things. And that's just perfectly encapsulates the integrated light masculine, the good king archetype, who is Shiva, who sits there as the world and the chaos crashes across him. Yet through that structure comes life. And for the unintegrated light masculine, the boy, I'm gonna have a few things to say about this guy here as I've been engaging with different conversations with men and women, and just recognizing the havoc that when men are in their unintegrated light masculine, it's just as damaging. I want to say maybe more than the unintegrated dark masculine, but it's pretty hard to do more damage than that guy. But it's pretty on par. So my story with these two archetypes. So as we know, if you're struggling with slipping into unintegrated dark masculine, which I was for ever until 100 and something days ago this year, I finally sat into integrating my light masculine and finding that safety and that presence. And don't get me wrong, like, it's not like I'm always in the unintegrated dark. The unintegrated light makes its appearance a lot. And I can explain to you guys, I'm just going to try and go forward to the words here. So we can just take a look at this. This does a really good job of breaking these down. For my experience with integrating this, the two arenas that have been by far the most apparent, and this has been reflected back to me personally, has to do when I'm doing business or when I'm in the presence of women. Now, this is also when I'm in the presence of men, but particularly when I'm in the presence of women. This presence and this safety. And so the he is safe. This is an interesting, I would say, crossover of truly integrated masculinity, because if you don't have dark masculine archetypes, you're not safe. If you're financially crushed and you don't have the ability to go acquire it, you're not safe. If you're physically weak and you're staying weak and you're not taking action to do that, you're not safe. If you don't know, for example, what's going on, let's say politically, like, you're not safe. And so these are dark masculine traits, but they're all pretty external, to say the least. They're all pretty external. There's people with no money that don't know how to make money, that have no physical aptitude and don't know anything about politics, yet they are completely grounded and safe and present. Small shout out to Brad, who was surrounded by these types of people in Nepal when he was on his spiritual pilgrimage journey there for a bit. I had some really phenomenal conversations with him where he was speaking about this. And I'm just going to keep rattling on through this. And I'll maybe make a little time for some questions. And now the next point there, Stoicism being logic and Buddhism being emotion, they actually share a remarkable amount of similar dogma around their, like, ways that they believe to be the way that we should be. And one of the primary ones, which I have grounded in continuously over this year, has been that pretty much too much of any emotion is not good. Like, just don't get too hung up on my verbiage that I'm using there. But if you're really, really sad, it's not good. If you're really, really happy, it's not good. And so what do you mean? And because it's not grounded most of the time, we get really, really happy, we get really carried away, and we start blasting into a different direction. And if you know anything about brainwaves, which maybe you do, maybe you don't, this is a arena of expertise of mine, there's something called alpha brainwave state. And alpha brainwave state is when you're not thinking about a to-do list. You're not thinking about what I need to do. You're not in a anxious state. You're not in a negative emotional state. You're in the present moment. It's alpha brainwave. And when you're in alpha brainwave, this is when you get downloads. So different times where people are in alpha brainwave state, when elite athletes are what they call in the zone, right? When LeBron James is scoring 50 points, 52 points, 54 points, he's not thinking about his kid's lunch tomorrow. He's not thinking about the fight that he got in with his wife. He's completely in the zone. He's in the present moment. And many spiritual masters talk about presence being in the present moment, being in the present moment. It's just alpha brainwave. When you're in this state, you cannot get sick. There's no disease. And you are in what is called flow state. A classic example of when we enter into this state, when we're fully present and we're receiving downloads, is in the shower. This is when the common folk enter alpha brainwave. Most oftentimes, people are too anxious or insecure to enter into an alpha brainwave state. They're looking in the present moment and they're having self-deprecating talk, or they're looking back at the past at things they wish that didn't happen, or they're looking forward and preparing for a negative hypothetical situation that isn't ever going to happen. They're not in the present moment. And when they are in the present moment, they're being mean to themselves. But when you get in the shower, what happens? You're just in the present moment. Oh, where's the soap? I'm gonna soaping, and I'm having some breaths, and all of a sudden I got the best idea ever. I got a download from God. You were in an alpha brainwave state. People can feel these states, especially energetically sensitive people. Women are more energetically sensitive than men. And of course, men, there's a wide array of the levels of energetic sensitivity that we have. And so without going too long on this, because I will eat up the entire time talking about this, one thing that I know has been a very difficult thing for men to ask for, because they either have self-deprecating talk or they're too proud, is requesting for help. The good king has a kingdom. The good king has a kingdom that he can request help from. He has influence. And why does he have influence? Because people want to be around him, because he's safe, he's present. So people want to be around. And when he needs something, and we all need something, he doesn't hesitate to ask. And there's no guilt or shame or anything that comes around requesting for help. And I mean, this is one of the arenas where I have had so many people say that they admire that I ask them for help. I ask people for help, and it's astonishing. It's been astonishing for me too. And I don't know if this is because I'm an only child or whatever, but I've really recognized how much men struggle to ask for help. Like, raise your hand if you struggle asking people for help. Look, everybody. Why? Raise your hand if someone comes to you and asks for help, if you have any problem helping them. Do you have any problem helping them? Raise your hand if you have a problem helping them. Yeah, nobody. So look, here we are in a container. I have a hard time asking for help. I would easily help people. And this is 100% for both directions. So we can go down the path of why do I have a problem asking for help and all these things? Or what I like to do is just recognize right now through this data that we took, it's it doesn't matter, just do it. And this year, I've been able to cultivate so much from doing this. So anyways, I'm just going to hop over to the unintegrated light masculine, because this hasn't been an arena that has come up a lot for me, but it does sometimes. I'll have more to say about this when we talk about the dark masculine. For me, how unintegrated light masculine appears, which is the same, I'm pretty sure, for everybody, at least at first, is self-deprecating talk. You can look at all these traits, and if you guys know me, I don't have problem setting boundaries. I'm prepared. I'm independent. I know my worth. I try not to hurt others. Self-deprecating talk. I'm certainly not afraid to take the lead or commit and discipline and all these types of things. But for me, sometimes the self-deprecating conversation is absolutely ruthless. Unbelievably ruthless. I would never speak to anybody that way, and nobody that I know would have the balls to speak to me that way either. And if they did, they would be inaccurate. most of the times. That's what's nuts, is this self-deprecating conversation doesn't just come in. It comes in and it's inaccurate. It's dramatic. It's over the top. And so luckily, because I know my worth in these things, I'm usually able just to observe the self-deprecating talk come in. And then because it's inaccurate, I can actually just observe the inaccuracy, and usually it's overridden. And this will be great when we get into our conversation next week. But of course, the way to really fix the unintegrated light masculine, the boy, is to get skills. You acquire skills, you won't go through the self-deprecating talk. You are disciplined on a day-to-day basis. You're doing the things that you know that you should be doing on a day-to-day basis. Your self-deprecating talk can only go so far, because you can actually look in the mirror and say to yourself, I'm doing a good job. I'm showing up daily. I'm doing the tasks that I think that I should, regardless of whatever outcomes are actually happening. So that's going to be my story on these things. And I can add some other things if you guys like. If you guys have any questions for me, I'd love to take a couple questions for a few minutes, or comments, anything along those lines. Anybody? If no one raises their hands, I'm going to call you. So get ready. You already know who I'm going to call. Oh, yeah, you're Luke. Yeah.
I'm wondering if you have any tips or advice on how to check myself to see if I have any self-deprecating thoughts. And I ask that because I don't think I do. It's really hard to tell, but I definitely have the thoughts of, I can do better. I can do better. I can be better. That is for sure a through line. But I'm not sure if there's a negative side to that, or if I'm have a blind spot. So if you have any advice on how I can maybe look into that deeper for my own psyche.
Right. So like what you're asking, just so I'm clear, is like, when is it self-deprecating talk versus when is it like an internal call to action? Like when is it your feminine calling forth better versus the self-deprecating conversation?
Yeah, something like that. But even the self-deprecating thought, it's either I don't really have it, or it's so subtle. It's got this undertone in my subconscious that I can't access. And I'm wondering if that's it, and if there's ways to drop in deeper with my own internal dialogue.
Well, I would say that for in the internal dialogue, I have a little bit to say, and then I'm gonna call in Brian. For me, it's when I get the call to action, and then I either start picturing an undesired outcome happening. So if you know there's something that I want, and then I'm like starting to draw up all the ways that all the reasons why it's not going to happen, that always leads to self-deprecating talk, because I can do it, right? I'm the man. I can make it happen. I can do it. I can go get what I want. But so for me, that's how it appears. And
that's familiar, actually. So that helps.
Yeah. So because as soon as you start to paint like I want that, I can't have it, it's like, why not? And then that opens up the self-deprecating talk, where you start saying all these things and all these reasons about why you're not good enough, or why you don't possess the skill set, and all these types of things. But yeah, really, really good question. Brian,
could I speak to that?
Yeah, you can definitely, Brad. Thank you.
So Luke, I have the same thing. And I'll share what I realized about it a bit within myself. So I don't have thoughts about like, oh, I'm not good, or like all those things, but I have the same idea. It's like, I can do better, right? And the way I realized for myself was that it's like a positive spin on not being good enough. It's like, I can do better, which is like, in a way, it's an interesting way our egos spin it, that I'm not enough how I am, which is why I can do better. So I can do better, but it's this really beautiful, positive way of saying I'm not good. I don't accept myself just the way I am.
That resonates. Thank you, Brad.
But I realized that a few years, like 5 years ago, actually, like I called it a positive ego. I have a positive ego. My ego is like, yeah, I can always get better. But then it was I just realized a way that I don't accept myself on a spiritual level as I am now.
Beautiful.
So
Okay,
yeah,
received. Yeah,
yeah.
it does. I'm going to sit with that. Thank you.
Brian, floor is yours, Brian.
Amazing. Thank you, brothers. Briefly on that, Luke, one thing or for us all to consider is it's not always that thought comes first. Sometimes we have memory that is somatic, meaning it comes from the body, and then we have a thought that is trying to describe what that is. So a lot of my unintegrated boy comes from a feeling, and then a voice comes in and says, well, this means that. So sometimes I think it's just good to recognize, like, well, is this just like some sort of thought that's coming up that's describing something that, like, from a scenario, or am I having a felt memory that's coming up, and then my mind is starting to, like, describe what that feeling is? And that's an interesting navigation, because then we can start to like, when I've navigated it myself, I've realized, oh, like, this isn't even I don't believe this to be true. This is my mind trying to describe a feeling of abandonment, for example. Just the feeling of abandonment. It's just a feeling. There's no word associated. There's no mental body associated. So then I can go, my mind has created like a narrative around this. It's definitely not true. So just wanted to bring that in. I know it's not like totally associated, and it seemed like we got to a good place, or they brought you to a good place with your inner narrative. But yeah. So I'll briefly explain or yeah, go ahead, Luke. Yeah.
No, I'm just saying that kind of makes sense. It's more of a feeling than talk. Similar to how Matt said last week, we don't think in words, we think in pictures.
Mm-hmm.
It's a sort of a cross on that.
Yeah, this is probably a piece for all of us. When we have an uncomfortable feeling, thoughts can come really quickly, and then we assume that, or at least I'll speak to my experience. Sometimes I have an uncomfortable feeling, and then a thought comes up, and then I'm describing what that means and how I am in that scenario. And if we don't stop to look at that, we might believe that, and it might be rooted in a feeling, and it might be rooted in an emotion that is from a long time ago. So it's good to question, like, if you feel a self-deprecating sensation and you're starting to ruminate, like, am I good enough, or that was awkward, whatever it is, right? Like, navigating into the emotion and asking yourself, when did I feel this before? Usually it's 7 years ago. But yeah, I'm going to briefly chat about this, and then we're going to move on to the next thing, because we got so much stuff. Matt really went into this in a very beautiful way. I don't have too much to add. I'll just kind of add my experience. Maybe it's insightful. So, for a long time, I was like really in unintegrated light masculine, and like my mind was there, my body was there due to lack of a father, really, like lack of masculine energy in my life, integrated masculine energy. And what brought me into integrated light masculine, and how that became my kind of my default, was I started to understand that making people feel safe is something I can't do. All I can do is feel safe within myself. And when I feel safe, people will feel safe around me, because I am embodied in that level of safety. So I became the container from which I wanted other people to experience. So I think one of the most powerful things I can share about being integrated, or the integrated light masculine, in controversy, or like in polarity to the dark, there's not a lot of doing. It's an embodied state. Of course you can, the requesting for help, there are some doing things here that are mentioned, downloads, maybe sharing those. But I think the most important thing in my experience, again, this is my experience, it's an embodied state. It's a way that you go about in your life. You're not talking about it. You're not like, look at me, I'm so present. You're just present. And how do you do that? You do work on yourself that is somatic, breath work, meditation. You come to a place of solace and peace within inside of yourself. That's for you. And the way it gets shared is when you're around people and you feel safe. And then with the unintegrated boy, it's great to just question yourself constantly, like, especially when those thoughts come up. What I learned is that I started telling myself, like, do I believe this to be true? Do I believe that I'm not a leader? Do I believe that I shouldn't take the lead? Do I believe that I'm going to do these things wrong? And who, because those were words that were coming up in my mind before. I'm like, where did these come from? Like, where did this idea even come from in me? Who's telling me this? When I started doing these navigations, it's as though the integrated light was shining light on the unintegrated light. Started being present with that instead of being like, why? Like, oh God, like, why do I feel this way? Like, further self-deprecation, further unintegration. I started being very present with myself and giving myself that masculine presence. Like, okay, like you're feeling like really shitty and you're feeling unprepared or you're feeling anxious. Why is that? And I sat with it. I sat with these things a lot. And from that, I created a lot of safety because I still feel like uncomfortable feelings. I may feel anxious. These things will come up, but I can sit with it now. It's like a child. I can be like, it's okay. Like there's room inside for all those things. I don't want to push any of those things away. Whereas before I'd try to push them away a lot. So the moral of the story here is like this archetype for me is an embodied state and allows you to create a really big container inside of yourself so that you don't need to push anything away. Rather, you can remain in that state of solace, similar to that picture, like all those parts that are descending upon you, all the change, all the uncertainty, all the doubt, it just pours upon you and you can hold it. And yeah, so I want to say if there's any questions, but let's save it for the end because we got more stuff to do. Let me take a little peek. Anything else you want to add to that, Matt, before we transition? Oh, actually, one last thing I'll say before, just the relationship of shame and presence. I think that shame can't exist in the light. So you being present with your shame and looking at it and being like, I'm ashamed of this. And then what does the integrated light masculine do? He asks for help. So you can absolve your shame by looking at it and being like, yes, I'm ashamed of this. Like, I don't think I'm worthy because of this. All these types of things, like that in of itself can be really powerful to own up to that in yourself. And then asking for help. There's nothing wrong with asking for help and bringing it to the light, telling someone, that's the way that you absolve shame. So that's that relationship, we talked about, or we saw in the workbooks, that the relationship of the unintegrated is very much held within shame. It's hiding itself. It's trying to escape, and then the light masculine is in presence. It's viewing of all things and really accepting of all things, is allowing of all things. And that's why it needs the dark, because if you're just integrated light, you hold no boundaries. You're like, yeah, it's all good. Do whatever you want. That's why I had to learn that from Matt. So let's now transition to reals. So now we're going to practice some presence. We're just going to do a 10-minute silent meditation. No music, no anything. Just going to sit 10 minutes. My invitation is to don't try to do a mantra or anything like that. You can be present with your breath. Try to be present with the thoughts. See if you can sit in that observer seat and really just see. And what you'll probably notice is that you'll get caught with a thought and you'll, wow, come back. Just bring yourself back. There's no wrong way to do this. If you have a long-standing meditation practice, you're good to go. If you don't, you're still good to go. You can't do it wrong.
Just like to add one thing to this.
Yeah, please.
Is when we're in the seat of the observer, we want to notice that there's a difference between having a thought and holding a thought. So thoughts will come in and you can move them along. I like to ground and focus on my breath, but all of a sudden the thought will come in and I'm going to entertain that for a bit. I'm going to start going and exploring it and all those types of things. It's like, oh, wait a minute. Now I'm thinking ahead or I'm thinking here, and then grounding back into it. So just observe the thoughts that come in. Don't judge, and just try to stay present with your breath and observe the process. Yeah, we're gonna start now.
Thank you so much for that. That's fantastic. Like a leaf in a stream, just let those thoughts pass. I'm going to put on a timer because I want to be in the meditation too. So when the timer goes off, we'll take a deep breath, exhale, we'll open the eyes, we'll come back. So here we go. Timer has started. Take a nice deep breath in. And exhale. And let's gently come back to the container. Alrighty. Thank you, gentlemen. We have another exercise right after this, so I hope that was insightful for you. Matt, do you want to take this one off for the next portion?
Yeah, I will. I don't know how to set up the rooms. I don't know if you know how to do that, but I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, I can set some stuff up here.
Let
you chat.
So I don't know about you guys, but I was starting to go to that like almost falling asleep, whoa, coming back place. And that's actually a really magical place to be if you can maintain consciousness in it, because that's where you're dipping into theta brainwave. And theta brainwave is very difficult to achieve consciously. It's where they take people during states of hypnosis, where you can reprogram yourself like this instead of 20 years of talk therapy. And like for me, I mean, wait, should I be fully transparent? Are we going to do that in the, oh, we're going to do that in the next exercise. Anyways, I had a couple of things that kept coming up on my mind that, would come in and I'd move it to the side and I'd be back in my breath. And then there it is again. And I'd be back on my breath and I'd explore something else. And all of a sudden there it is again. And, this is definitely something that I've been wrestling with for quite some time now. And being present with that is a really interesting thing, because like when you hold the thought instead of have the thought, and you're not supposed to be holding the thought, that can easily go into shame. And shame is the like primary factor of the unintegrated light masculine. And so I was able just to observe it with love and with care. And we're going to go into some sharing. That's this next like thing, is we're going to be really going into some deeper connecting moments. Has anybody on here, raise your hand if you have not done Dyads before?
Nice.
Okay, cool. So Dyads are two person exercise, and the point of the dyad, they're best done in person when you can look them in the eyes, but the real magic of the dyad is being a space holder. Okay, so Dyads, there's going to be prompts. We're going to prompt you guys with some questions or some statements. And so what the two parties do, one person's partner A, one person's partner B, we'll prompt partner A to go first. Partner A will look at partner B, and partner A will start their sentence off with something and then continue. So like one of my favorites, which we're not doing today, is my relationship with my father is go. And then partner A will look at partner B and will say, my relationship with my father is, and we'll just allow themselves to talk. Now, the real magic of the dyad, which I've hosted handfuls of dyads, and people suck at this. Okay, try not to, because this is the real magic of this exercise, and this is what we're practicing. Yes, we're practicing being vulnerable and opening up with our brothers, but more so importantly, we are practicing being a safe, present container. With the dyad work, you stay stoic. You are just an ear. If someone says something really sad to you, you don't go, oh. If someone says something really happy, you don't go like, yeah. You are just to listen. Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do this. Just listen while they open up. And from all the dyads that I've witnessed, this is when you are able to just hold a frame, it allows people to go much, much deeper. They're not getting these like subconscious micro hints from your facial expression, sure you guys have heard a little bit about how much of our actual energy goes into reading people's faces. Well, when you just are allowed, you're just that stable, present force to listen to, people will open up and go deeper with you than if you're giving them like reassuring, continue going where you're going. And I have practiced this a lot with my clients, my friends, my business partners, and with women. And it's epic how much all of those people, all of those archetypes will actually open up, and how deep they'll go if I just shut up visually and vocally and allow them to keep going. So that's the practice that we're about to go into. It's as much about being vulnerable and open with your brother as it is about holding a safe and present frame. So Brian, I don't know how should we prompt these? Should I just paste them in the chat and then they go into breakout rooms, or how?
Yeah, I think for brevity's sake, we'll do it with we'll keep you guys in the same breakout rooms. We can tell you the first one. Like here and now, like Matt, you can tell them the first one, and
should I just paste it in the chat here and then they go into breakout rooms, or does that make the
Actually, yeah, let's just do that. So let's put the first one in there. We're going to put you in breakout rooms. You'll stay with the same partner. Let's see here, for time's sake, like 2 minutes each one.
Yeah, each person will get yeah, I guess 1 minute to speak.
Okay, we'll do
so 1 minute to 1 minute to speak, then switch, 1 minute to speak, then switch. And so we're going to meet you guys back here at 7:20 after. So here's the questions. I don't know if we go into breakout room and they go away, so please copy those. And so everybody copy those. And if you go to the breakout room, paste them in your breakout room.
Yeah, and what we'll do too is we'll give you the timer. So when you go in the breakout room, just we'll say choose partner A, partner B, just do it quickly. And then partner A will go, yeah, we'll ask the question first. So you'll ask, or sorry,
we'll speak statements.
Yeah, some of the self-deprecating language that comes up in me is do, and you can keep repeating that. We'll give you the minute, and then we'll say, okay, switch, and you'll switch, and then you can just keep going down through those dyads. Does that make sense to everyone? Can we get a thumbs up if that makes sense?
Everybody understand? Everybody understand?
Okay, cool. Fantastic.
Okay.
All right, guys. 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna open all the rooms, and there you go. You guys just gotta go in there. Yeah, you gotta accept it. Accept the room. Get on in there. Oh yeah, you gotta accept it there, Eddie. I think he's frozen. I kept us. Yeah, wait, I'm gonna pause the recording for that.
You have like a cheeky smile on your face right now. I want to hear what happened in your room.
That was good. I was with Logan, and yeah, it's actually pretty tough, to be stoic, and think things that he was saying was funny and sad, and it's like, you're listening and not crunching, the eyebrows, or like nodding, like showing expressions that you're actually listening, but just actually listening without showing it was a challenge. So very existing.
I really encourage you to try this stuff with your partner. Just get her to come up with a couple questions. You come up with a couple questions, and try your best. It's really, really potent. It's a potent thing. It's almost like fasting, where it's like for me, like I've done fasts like many times, but the first time that I fasted, I would be like around hour 18, and I swear I'd be sitting and I would just blink, and then I'd be like opening the fridge and getting food out and like preparing food. I'm like, oh, like, what am I doing? I'm fasting right now. I gotta put this away. And it just like shows that that default, and how we're not actually in control, and therefore we're not actually being fully present when we're with people, because we're responding and we're like getting in there and making it about us and all those things. Yeah. Logan, how is it you being on the other end of that with Guillaume?
Yeah, no, it was great. It was really nice. I thought so. Something really interesting is like when you're talking and sharing, you're kind of reading the other person's face to like get a read on like, oh, are they into what I'm saying? Is this making sense to them? And so then like you're thinking, or me at least, like I'm thinking about the other person while I'm talking about myself, and then I'm like, oh, okay, I guess they're not giving me anything, so I guess I have to just focus more on myself, and it really allows you to like get deeper and free up and stuff, which is nice.
Bingo. Nice. Thank you. Amazing. Yeah. That encapsulates the whole thing. And when you're speaking with people, when you're holding space for somebody, when you're listening to somebody, they're attempting to be vulnerable with you. But if they're a highly empathic person, they're going to be doing what you do and start tuning in. And so you can see how if you start to contribute your own emotions into it, it could prevent them from having the experience that they're even trying to have, which is being vulnerable. So yeah, amazing. Thanks for that reflection. Jay Bray.
Hey.
Hey.
I find with dyads, one of two things happens for me. I either pull something out that's deep that I didn't know about, that because like I'm like, pulling for it, like maybe it's something that is kind of a stretch for me, and I'll like, maybe 30 seconds in, I have a whole 30 seconds to go, and I'm like, what am I going to say? And I start saying things, and then I say something, and I'm like, whoa, where did that come from? That happens a lot. And then other times, like I'll feel like I was about to get somewhere and I didn't, and then I'll put a pin in it and I'll revisit it later, and like, or maybe I'll feel unprepared for it. I'm like, oh, okay, like maybe I should like look into that a little bit deeper. And like, yeah, I had that actually one time. We did a dyad with Brian when we were at the park, and I felt like I was like, wow, like I didn't really say much with that dyad. Like I should be able to explain like my fears a lot better. I should be more in tune to that. And it actually like pulled up an entire thread on my phone now. I have like my fears thread. So every time I think of a fear, I write it down, and I kind of like go into it later on. And I'm like, yeah. So that was like kind of an interesting thing that happened at a dyad for me.
Amazing. Who was your partner?
It was Callie.
Callie. How was that for you with Jay Bray? What was this guy doing? What was going on there?
It was great. Yeah, it was interesting, in the sense of like kind of like what Logan was saying. You're looking at the other person and kind of waiting for a cue that they or acknowledgement that they're listening in some way. But yeah, like it's tricky to kind of, you feel like you're on the spot a little bit, and you're kind of just trying to get out some of these thoughts and feelings that come up with the question. So yeah.
Yeah, it's always interesting when you get into like a vulnerable container, like anyone have resistances around about going into some of these things? Was there any resistance? Raise your hand.
I definitely do. Yeah. Like,
yeah.
Thought was like, hell no, not doing it. I gotta go.
But did you lean into it, or did you kind of like dodge around?
I'll say that Callie did lean into it. I felt that he did get vulnerable and pull out some good points. And I was like, yeah, like that was pretty gold, actually.
Amazing. Like, if there's one thing that I think I'm just so like happy to hear about this, especially speaking as someone that really needed to lean into this safety and vulnerability type of way of being, is that I so often assumed that it wasn't going to be received well. And by consistently opening up and being vulnerable with my brother, Brian, Brad, all these amazing men that I have, and then having them actually receive it, this like new programming around the masculine, like honestly, that's what this group is doing, right? Like that's why I'm just so freaking grateful for all of you that are involved in this, is because we are reprogramming our fucked up relationship with the masculine. And it's that way for a reason. It's like, it's not your fault that your relationship with the masculine is messed up. It's the masculines external that have caused these programs of damage. And so we're restructuring that and reframing that together in this group. And it has been hands down the most powerful thing for me. Having these epic, powerful men hold me in my tears, cheer me in my successes, has been the most potent medicine that I've experienced. So just, maybe reminding us of that when we're doing all of these things is like we're reprogramming our relationship with the masculine through each other. So just props to all of you guys for holding the space. Props to all of you guys for doing the vulnerable work. And yeah, thank you on behalf of the collective for repairing the masculine, because somebody's got to do it. So that'll probably be the final words that I have for the night. I just, have so much love for you guys, and really, really stoked to chat and see you guys next week. Pass it off to Brian now. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Matt. That's amazing. Yeah, thank you. Just to add a little bit to that, I think it's not our fault, but it is our responsibility. It's the heavy hand of this life. It's like, not our fault that parents treated us the way they did, or that my father left me, but it's my responsibility, if I so choose, to not allow that unintegrated states to affect me, the other men that I'm with, and potentially my children if I have them. So I think it's like that at least rocked me to be like, okay, yeah, it's not my fault. But then we can slip into victimhood, right? Like, oh, it's not my fault. Well, I don't need to do anything about it. Well, we do got to do something about it, and we're all doing something about it right here now, which is so amazing. Okay, we got like 2 minutes, so let's just really quickly review the workbook. For this week, daily meditation, practicing presence, just like we did. What I would recommend is time block this. Dedicated time every single day when you're going to do it. Set yourself up for success. This is called making a precognitive commitment. Also, time blocking is just an amazing skill that I'd highly recommend all of you to adopt, or if you're doing it, awesome. But make a commitment. Like, do it even tonight. When are you going to do those meditations? Don't try to figure out the day of. I mean, you can. I don't suggest it, because your ego is going to be like, I don't feel like doing it in the morning. I don't feel like doing it in the afternoon. It's evening. So just make the commitment when you're going to do it. You could even write it in your workbook, what time you're going to do it. Try to do it consistently. That's my recommendation. And then do a dyad, or just eye gaze, because it's probably easier with a stranger or someone you love, but it'd be cool if you did it with a stranger. That would be really, really awesome. I'll even try, but there's not a lot of people around here that speak English. Might get someone to translate for me. But yeah, we want to hold that presence, right? So there's the being present with yourself, being present with someone else. Then there's a section called additional homework. You can just write extra stuff there if you need to. So that's what we got for you guys this week. Any questions? Dylan wrote
I just wrote one in the chat. I was curious if you had a suggested prompt to do with a stranger, because obviously some strangers might want to go super deep into personal topics. So yeah, is there a prompt or something that you have that you might suggest for that?
Tell me what's most alive for you right now. Tell me what's happening in your life right now. Tell me something you want to share, and just let them share. How I would approach the dyad is say, I'm in a course right now that's helping me to, improve myself as a man. And this would be a huge help for me if I could do this. If I could just have like 5 minutes or 2 minutes of your time, all I'm going to do is just give you a prompt. You're just going to say it, and I'm just going to listen, and that's it. And it would make my day. Everyone wants to make someone's day, unless they're like super busy, but like people will probably respond really well to that. That's my recommendation. You'll probably make someone's day by doing that. How often does someone actually just get to tell you that? Yeah, there we go. Matt's got a few. Any other questions before we wrap up, brothers? Cool. Yeah, thank you guys. Once again, like, such an awesome call. Feels really fluid with you guys. I can feel the energy, the excitement, and like Matt said so beautifully, like we're making the change, we're becoming the change, and we're doing it together. We're supporting each other in a beautiful co-creation of understanding what it means to be a man in this modern day. And yeah. So thank you guys so much. I'm wishing you all the best in this week to come. Next week's going to be awesome as well. We're going to be diving into the dark masculine. Ooh, it's going to be fun. Get prepared to do some stuff. We're going to do some stuff on the call, doing some things. Love you guys lots, and drop some questions or anything in the chats. Thank you for being active. We will see you next week. Much love.